Now, in Erie County's continued higher rates of COVID-19, as reported by the health department, has apparently claimed the high school wrestling season, but only in Erie County. Dave McKinley explains why some grapplers will be hitting the mats in a couple of weeks and why others at nearby schools will not.
When it came to so-called high-risk high school sports, the state has left it up to counties to recommend which ones could proceed. When health departments across western New York recommended back in January that wrestling should not be permitted, Section 6 decided to move that winter sport to spring, hoping that by now things would improve. Well, spring has arrived, but due to what it calls continued concerning levels of community transmission and the inability of wrestlers when they compete to wear a mask, the Erie County Health Department has again determined wrestling should be pinned. According to the county, though, Section 6 is an independent entity and doesn't need permission to have wrestling, but Section 6 decided not to do it, at least in Erie County. In his statement, its president, Brett Banker, said school leaders cannot take on the liability associated with splitting off from the Erie County Health Department's recommendations. But what it also means is that high school wrestling can go on starting May 3rd in Allegheny, Cattaraugus, Chautauqua, and Niagara counties. Jeff Schoenthal is both the father of a high school wrestler and a wrestling coach.
It's heartbreaking for all these kids. Most of these kids nowadays, they've put in time since kindergarten. Now they've reached the high school point, and this is the big show. You know, this is what everybody has dedicated all these months and all this time for.
If the science tells us that COVID is spread through close contact and respiratory secretions, then logically one could presume that wrestling is about the last thing you'd want to sanction. However, coming up later, why the wrestling community says the data regarding its sport tells a different story. Dave McKinley, Channel 2 News.